Shalom. We're here week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of this wicked kingdom named America, aka Babylon the Great. And we're going to just get into it. So we're going to turn to the east and give all praises and glory to Yahawah, Yahawashi, bahasham, So we're gonna do something simple. So first thing we're gonna do is look up Babylon. So Babylon and Bible meaning. So I'm gonna give you what these people say it is. So Google says Babylon in the Bible meaning. So it says, although the name Babylon is derived from Akkadian word Babalu meaning gate of God, it is an evident counterfeit of God's eternal city. So it's a counterfeit. It's like the opposite. Yeah, you can get in the shape, It's the opposite. So I'm gonna stop there and then we're going to move into scriptures. So then you get the Bible Sword app and you go to the word search and you type in Babylon again. So it gives you a bunch of definitions. So now we're going to go into Babylonians. So 2 Kings 17:24, it has a definition, so I'm going to get it. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, cities of Samaria, instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. So let's see. A king brought people that weren't supposed to be there live at a place, and the word is babal in the Hebrew, so it's babal. Hebrews H894, Babel or Babylon, confusion by mixing. So that's what we're going to do, and then now we're going to go into the book. So think about it. This place is nothing but confusion. So we're going to go into the book. And right now we're going to be in Revelation 18. So this one is all about Babylon. But before we get into it, I'm going to explain some things that you can put together to understand why this place is Babylon. So the first thing is, this place is confusing, right? And every time there's something going on where someone's in authority around Babylon, it's always confusing. So today, we had a meeting, and in that meeting, it was about trust. So the first thing I said to myself was, I don't trust no fucking body. So I said it in my head. And then the second, what happened is, my boss is a lady, right? So she said, the first thing I think about, or when I hear trust, is trust fall. You know what a trust fall is? And I said, I don't fucking trust nobody. I ain't doing that. So she said the options are trust fall or bingo, and I was like, yeah, let's play bingo. And then on that bingo card, it's a confusing part. It was full of things that people do for each other. And I was like, man, I'm gonna lose this game. I never done none of this. So So the first one said donate blood, and I was like, I ain't donating shit. But it was just a game. And another one that I was disagreeing with is stay late at work for a coworker. And I was like, man, fuck that shit. You know, I ain't doing that shit either. And then the third one was give up your parking spot. And the whole time they're talking, I'm like, those are the things that make me happy. Why would I want to give them up? So that's confusing. So the whole point of Babylon is to confuse you. And then worse than that, they showed a commercial where this one Moabite man, this Asian man, like he kept giving shit that he didn't have to give. He kept giving this girl $10. And then he kept helping this lady push her cart up. And he kept doing all these nice things for other people. But at the end of the story, that lady got help pushing her cart up, and that girl got enough money to pay for her school. But what did that motherfucker get for himself? What did he get for himself? You know, the scripture says help yourself first before you help anybody else. You know, it says get that mote out of your eye. I did a little research. And this is real simple stuff. This is Matthew 7:5. Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. So, you know, basically, you got something in your eye, and somebody else has something in their eye, but you want to help them first before you help yourself. How the fuck you gonna help that motherfucker when you got something in your eye? That's confusion, right? So that's how it goes at work, at some work, and that's why people get away with shit. Now, at school was a different thing. That's even worse, because at school they let drag queens read books to impressionable young minds. They're over there shaking their implanted breasts, and you know their balls are hanging out. Kids are fucking freaking out. That's confusion. So, you know, first we gotta fix ourselves, and then we can fix others, right? So let's go into Babylon. So let's see. Let's see. So let's get it, Revelation 18:1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth lightened with his glory. So that's obviously Yahawashi. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become a habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So it's a place where fucked up things happen, wrong things happen. You know, Colinga's right over there, and there's a story about a man named Joaquin Murriega. He came from Mexico to look for gold, and the fucking Edomites over here beat the fuck out of him, raped and killed his wife, and they did that to several other Ishikarites, and they got together and then they started putting caps on them. And then the white people would be like, why is this happening to us? Fuck out of here. There's no way it's happening. You deserve it. And that's another thing. Whatever happens to you is basically, so let's say like this. My shoulder's fucked up. and it gives me pain and trouble and all that time. Well, I'm not innocent. It must be hurting me for a fucked up reason, because I'm fucked up and I haven't cleaned myself up completely. But it's hard, but I'm trying, right? But he's still, my shoulder's messed up. And when I hear the doctors say stuff like, oh, we're gonna do physical therapy, and I'm like, sometimes I can't even move my fucking body because it hurts so bad. But anyways, there's the motherfucking doctors. They ought to know. And it's confusing because they'll be like, yeah, we're gonna do, I'm in pain right now, right? They say, oh, we're gonna do 7 or 8 weeks of fucking therapy. 7 and 8 weeks of more pain? Sounds good. But, that's how they deal with you. So verse 3 says, Revelation 18 and 3. Actually, let me get Revelation 14 and 8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. See? So, and that wrath, look up the word wrath on your phone. Because what's a wrath? If you ever play Mortal Kombat, like they do those moves, and they can't be stopped. That's a wrathful vengeance, right? Getting wrapped up. And listen to that. It's an F-22. That's wrath. When any of the enemies of Babylon, the United States, they hear that shit, they're like, oh, we're gonna die. They want to hide from that. That's the wrath of the devil, right? So let's get Isaiah 21 and 9. That's why the Lord had different prophets to write these things down. So this is Isaiah 21 and 9. And behold, here cometh a chariot of men with a couple of horsemen, and he answered and said, Babylon is fallen, and all the graven images of her gods she hath broken unto the ground. So right there, what's his name? One of our great ancestors. One of the judges. You know what? I'll probably make a video about that tomorrow. But he went to, I think his name was Gideon. His dad was worshiping other idols, and when they all, how when someone worships idols, your grandmother on my side, she'll give you crosses or she'll give you those things, those religious things. She can't get over that because of what she was taught to believe growing up, and she didn't have nobody telling. There was nobody prophesying the truth, so she couldn't go up to a prophet and ask her what's going on. So she was like, believe that those things are good, but they're not, because they're idols. They don't have any life. They don't have any breath. So then this man Gideon destroyed all those idols, and then his father was like, yeah, thank you, son, and then, and good things happen for them. But that's what we're doing right now, because it said, and behold, here cometh a chariot of man with a couple of horsemen. And he answered and said, Babylon is fallen, and all the graven images of her gods he had broken to the ground. So there has to be, you have to stop worshiping other gods. Like there's only one God, and not breed, Yahawah, and then his son, Yahawashi, and the Holy Spirit, it's like the wind, it's all over the place. It's like the connection. But people will get upset because they've been confused. That's why reading is important. That's why reading was illegal for slaves. You couldn't read because then you'd be like, oh, what the fuck, man, he's talking about us. All we got to do is change this and then it'll be okay, all right? So then you do it. But Isaiah 21:9 says, and behold, 8, and he cried, a lion, my Lord, I stand continually upon the watchtower in the daytime, and I am set in my ward whole nights. So we're constantly watching. We're like, man, that Neuralink is coming up, so it's gonna be, it's gonna be bad when they start implementing it. You start getting that stuff into your brain, and now you're starting to lose control. So you're gonna fight for your life. You're gonna fight for your soul. You're gonna fight for your brain. You're gonna fight for everything. Because did you know that if somebody dies and they don't donate their organs, they'll just steal them? They'll just steal them and then they'll sell them. Give somebody else a second chance at life again. So you got that going. And another thing is, those horsemen with that chariot with a couple of horsemen, those are the chariots, right? So when the angels come by and say, alas, Babylon is fallen, that's like, you know how when you play that UFC and then you knock someone out, that's when they're falling. So the angels are going to be like, Babylon is destroyed, it's fallen, it's fallen. But how is it going to fall? It's going to fall in the fashion. It's going to fall pretty indiscriminately. So it's going to fall bad. So going on to Revelation 18:3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So that's another thing. So Babylon, you make a lot of money, and if you're on top of your game, money-wise, you're making all the money. And what happens when you start making money? You start thinking differently. You're like, man. You stop hanging out with folks that you used to hang out that made you feel better. Now all of a sudden they don't make you feel better because money makes you feel better. Sometimes all you need is, man, I see you're working hard. That's all a man needs. But the man is just, not worth it anymore. So now we got to continue over here, right? So all nations did it. All nations. Name a nation, and they do business with the devil. They're all of them. And I feel sorry for people that trust in this Edomite system. You trust in Satan, like, damn. How could you be so trustworthy? How could you be so trustworthy? He's the one that fucked everything up. And the hard part is, we'll tell you, yeah, Satan's a deceiver. He lies, he's a murderer from the beginning. He was Cain at first when Eden started, and then he was Esau, and now he's the so-called white man, because those are all the same people. You know, we're all the same Israelites coming back, you know, as Adamites and then such and forth. But we can't get into the kingdom unless we translate. Unless we say, okay, right now I've been lied to, which is another lie Babylon told you. Babylon's confusing, isn't it? Because they'll tell you you're an American, but you go home and at home they'll tell you, oh, you're French, or you're Jamaican, or you're this, you're that. So you got to play two parts. That's confusing. Why can't you just be who you are? Because that's not good enough. But now I'm gonna get into you know, why you gotta get fucked up. And Revelation 18:4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. So what do you got to stop doing? You got to stop trying to be in this system. And I'll tell you why right here. So it says right here, Revelation 13:10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. You know, so that's what we got to be patient about. Because who killed with the sword? And what is the sword? Who stole somebody? Because the Bible's crying for justice. You can't steal a man or a woman or a child and take them out of their natural living environment and make them your slave for any reason. But there's ways of lawfully going into slavery. Like, let's say if I'm in debt and, you know, I'll be like, yo, I can't pay this debt. Can I work 3 or 4 years for you? And that's a long time. And then after that time is up, then your debt is paid off. That's how it's supposed to be. So in Matthew 26 and 52. Matthew 26 and 52. Then said Yahawashi unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. And that's Yahawashi talking. So you Edomites stole the land, and you used a sword to take it. You know, went to West Africa, gathered up a bunch of Jews, brought him over here on cargo slave ships. But before you did that, you came over here and took us into slavery, made us work, and most of us died because of the mistreatment. And then you try to take us across overseas. It took about 2,000 of us, only 500 survived. So you gotta, if we're calling out people, you gotta raise your hand and say, oh, well, you know, I'm a Edomite. I did that. Because we're the ones raising our hands and say, yeah, you guys did that to us. So when you do stuff to people, it's gonna have to come back. And that's what the Lord said. The Lord said that. You know, that's not me telling you. That's what that's what's going to happen. Well, it is me telling you that's what's going to happen, but it's also the Lord telling you, you know. Revelation 18 and 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahawah hath remembered her iniquities. So everything that she does is stacking up on top of each other. This is going up. It's like, you know, if you have homework to do, and you have till the end of the month, and you're trying to do it on the 1st, but then you say, I got 29 days. I'll do it later. And then day 28 comes and it's due and you're panicking and you haven't done shit. That's what happens. So another thing is you got to pay attention all the time. Because Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi has never forgot your sins. We forget because we are born, we die, we forget, and then we're sent back here to relive our life of the reincarnation. It's not very difficult, but it is, you know, it is kind of complicated. It's complicated, and then when you get to a certain point, you'll understand everything. Revelation 18 and 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she had filled, fill to her double. Oh man, that sounds poetic, but that means you're gonna get fucked up. Let me break that down again, all right? Because some of you motherfuckers are simple. Reward her even as she rewarded you. So let's say Babylon, you be, and most of you Edomites will be like, well, we didn't do it to you as a whole. It was some of us, blah blah blah. Yeah. Let's say it was the first generation that did that. You're benefiting of all the generational wealth acquired from then till now. Can you imagine if my great ancestor had slaves, and let's say we owned Anheuser-Busch, so that's how it would be. The slavery paid for some big company that still exists, and most of you insurance companies own slaves, you motherfuckers. So you're guilty. But a lot of people don't know that. How can you get a slave and not have insurance on it? Maybe that slave will die and who's gonna pay him, right? See how wicked these people are? So that's double. She rewarded us like that. So you're gonna get double. What does that mean? That means that, you know, you're gonna get hardcore slavery. You know, this is gonna be fun for me. I'm gonna get a bunch of wild horses, and let's say I'm gonna gather all your Edomite children, and I'm gonna let all the wild horses just stomp on your babies. Like they're gonna kill them. You're gonna be blood everywhere, and you're gonna be like, oh. And then guess what? It's gonna be like the first hour that happened on that one day, and then the next hour I'm gonna be like, you know what? Let's make all these baby Edomites come back to life. So they'll come back to life, and then we'll be like, oh, we're going on a cruise, and then I'll dump all your babies into the ocean, and sharks will eat them. And then I'll do that again every single day, until you can't take it anymore, because that's what you did to us, man. That's called torture. It's justified. You're not gonna get away with it. You can't. The Lord said you won't. He hasn't forgotten. He hasn't forgotten. Revelation Revelation 18 and 7. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. So this country's like that. Like, they'll go invade other parts of the world, set up a base, and then say this is a piece of America. They'll do that because that's what they can. Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire, and strong is the Lord Yahawashi who judgeth her. So now you got to understand what's going on, because he never forgot. You're gonna have to pay. And here's the bonus part. When it's gonna be like a movie. When you people die, when the Edomites die, anybody dies, you go back up to heaven, and then you're judged. So then you'll know what you did wrong, and then you'll have another life to make up for it. But you had plenty of lives to make up for it, and you never made up for it. So we're gonna have to bring you to life, kill you, punish you, bring you back to life, tell you this is what you did wrong, and we're gonna do this for you. But you're never gonna learn your lesson. So that's another thing. So that was pretty much it. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. Yeah. That's just plain and simple right there. Why would it be? You know, why would it be that? Now here we are trying to better ourselves, but we can't. Because we keep messing up. Wouldn't you want to better yourself by improving the way you live? You know, so you got to be careful about what you do and what you say. Even though you're living in a time where you're very upset, you can't go off on anybody because you don't know who they are. Treat people with the same amount of respect you want to be treated. A couple of days ago, where we close to where we live, there was an individual who rammed his truck into a jewelry store and shot up the place, but he didn't shoot nobody, and then he shot himself. So this world is coming to a crumbling end, and while it's doing that, other people are going to fall down with it. So you don't want to be that guy that's an asshole to people and then become a target. You want to be the kind of guy that if somebody with bad intentions looks at you and don't say, oh man, he works kind of hard, I don't want to. He's cool. You know, but you got to pay attention to that. You know, so with that, we're going to say shalom and give all praises and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Shalom, until next time.